welcome to Life with Jane. Sorry, my dog has just come to say hello because I've suddenly just started talking. So the dog's going like, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?" I thought this week I would do my vlog and let you know what's going to be happening this week. So my videos this week and what I'm going to be doing. And then just do some general chit chat and things about, I turned around and said that I was going to tell you about my pottery. So the Port Meriam botanic garden that I've got and showed you, and you'll see it quite often when it comes up on Foodie Friday, because I have quite a collection now. I started collecting it when I was quite young. So I shall tell you the story of that. I'm also I'm looking down because I had to write some notes, otherwise it goes completely out of my head. I'm going to tell you what recipe we're going to be doing this week, and how that one came about. And I thought I'd start this week with the weather, because the weather's actually, we've got a little bit of a, last week we had the terrible storm and wind, and I was in sort of all Saturday and most of the weekend because it was blowing a gale. And I was telling you that one of my friends said she was actually without power for I think 4 days, and it was really cold where she was because she's further up north in Wales. And it was terrible. She had a wood burner and had to bring her bed and everything downstairs with it, because both her and her husband had a very bad case of colds and flus and things, and so awful time. So I am always saying how blessed I am to live in the southeast of England, because the weather is probably the mildest here. We get the least of the winds, being inland, and it's really rather nice. So I know some of you were turning round. As I said, this is part of a community here, so I love hearing all the things that you're telling me, and quite a few of you suffer from terrible fires. So in California, terrible fires, and have to be really careful with flames and houses going up, and fires and things like that. I think the only fire that we had of any real sort of significance was in 1976, I think. It might have been 78, I think it was 76, when it had been exceptionally dry and part of the heathland went up, and that was pretty bad. I was quite young at the time, but I remember my mum going up onto the heath, where the house was sort of full of smoke and things, and you could run your finger along the windowsill, and there was ash everywhere. It was sort of a black where it sort of came in, even though the windows were closed. It came in, and my mum and some of the neighbours took up a trestle table, and took it up to the top with drinks, teas and coffees and squashes and things to eat, because the fire fighters and the army that had come out to fight these fires had been working day and night to try and get the fires under control, and were absolutely exhausted and didn't have a chance for a break. So my mum set up these tables with with drinks and some food and snacks and things, so that they could literally, as they came out, they could grab something, because it was really quite, even though I was young, I remember it being quite sort of severe. I don't think anything on the cases of the ones that happen in California. I see it on the news and it must be absolutely frightful. But again, do tell me any of your stories and things in the comments, because I love reading about that sort of thing. So what are we going to be doing this week? Well, on Wednesday I'm doing my first, it's quite small, but I'm doing a food haul. And the food haul is from a local supermarket that I go to quite often called Lidl. And it is for sweet treat baking. So, when you're wanting to do some baking with some more expensive ingredients. So things like ground almonds, things like pecan nuts, those sorts of things in some of the supermarkets can be very, very expensive. But I'm going to show you a food haul that I got from Lidl that really wasn't, and it's going to be making some of the recipes over sort of the festive season, which tend to be a little bit more luxurious and fun, and things that I tend to take round to family and things, so that I've got a plate of something to take round. And so there's the recipe coming up on the Friday for that, which is going to be a very simple, easy sweet treat, and you can freeze it perfectly and then just take it out and defrost it when you're going to take it round, so you can make it in advance if you want to. So that, I think, is going to be a fun one for you. So I thought I would tell you my story of Port Meriam. And Port Meriam pottery, for those who don't know, is Port Meriam is a place in North Wales. Now, I shall show you, this is one of my oldest pieces, which is a little cream jug, milk jug, gravy jug, whatever sort of jug you want. And this actually belonged to my late uncle and his wife, and I will tell you why these ones are very precious to me. So this is one of the older ones, which is rather nice. And then this is just a mug that I have, that I use all the time. And I love the fact that on each one of the pieces you've got a little butterfly, and on the mugs you have sort of butterflies at the back as well. So the story of Port Meriam. When I was as small as I can remember, we as a family used to go up and see my uncle, which was my mother's brother. And we would go up on family holidays and things because they lived in a beautiful part of Scotland. So it was lovely to go up as a family and see them. So when we used to go up, I remember sitting and having, food and things at the table. And the plates and cups and everything they used was Port Meriam. And I remember sitting, looking at the patterns and thinking what beautiful flowers they were, and loving the little butterflies that were all sort of dotted about. On each piece there's always a butterfly. So I thought, when I grow up, I'm going to have some Port Meriam stuff. So as I bought my first home and sort of set up home, I bought a few pieces. And then my uncle, when my aunt passed away, my uncle used to come down and visit me once a year, every year. He would come down and stay with my mother before my mother passed away. And then for the last sort of 15 years, he would come down on his own. He lived to the grand old age of 98. Every time he came down to visit, he would obviously stay with me. And before he left, he would turn around and say, "Would you like a piece of Port Meriam?" And so we would go to the local store that sold Port Meriam pottery, and he would allow me to choose a piece, which added to my collection. So Port Meriam, what's the story behind Port Meriam? Well, I'm going to actually look it up on my or give you the brief précis on my phone. So Port Meriam is a village in North Wales, and it was Sir Clough Williams Ellis, the architecture and creator of Port Meriam village in North Wales, and his wife Annabel. And Susan was the creator of the Port Meriam pottery. Now, she was, the village, you can look it up on Google and look and see the whole history. But the village in North Wales, which I have been to, they had a gift shop, and they wanted some pottery to go with the gift shop. And Susan, the creator, she had some old botanical books with beautiful drawings and things of plants, and so that's what got her inspiration, and she started the pottery. and that's where it all began. And the first one was the Botanic Gardens, and I was reading up on it, and they turned around and said it is the most popular British design in Europe for China dinner services and things like that. So as I say, I'm very blessed to have it's my everyday. I use it. I always say that if you have something that is really beautiful, don't put it away in a cupboard. Don't have it just on a display thing and never use it. Use it and get the enjoyment out of it, because part of the fun of having something is actually using it. So, if I have broken the odd one or two. If it breaks, then it was supposed to break. I'm just somebody who goes, you know what, I really just enjoy using it for my everyday. And as I say, I have the mugs for drinking out of, I have the plates and things and the cups and the all sorts of things. So you will see most of the dishes in my Foodie Friday when I'm preparing things and putting things in bowls are all Port Meriam, and that's the story behind it. So I think that's probably going to be it for this this vlog. I try and keep them fairly short because I don't want to sort of be prattling on. But again, do give me your comments below of maybe your favourite china set and where that came from, and whether you've had anything that's been handed down through the family, or something that you've used a lot. And on china and things, I will, over the weeks, I've got some quite old china, some that belonged to my grandmother. Which is something that isn't my taste, but it was left to me. So I do have that on display. I do occasionally get the odd piece out, but it's not my favourite. And then a little tea set, which again is very old, which belonged to my grandmother on my mother's side, that was a lot older, so would have been 1920s. And again, I shall show you that at some time in the future. But those are ones for our musings and our talking over the future. So, as always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.